Hey, Footclan. Whether you're into podcasts about ghastly crimes or hip-hop rhymes, there's always something new to discover on Spotify. With a mix of originals and many of the world's most popular shows, listening to podcasts on Spotify is easy. Just open the app, tap Browse, and dive into their growing library. Subscribe to your favorites, including our entire archive, so you'll never miss a show. You can also download podcasts for those moments when you're either up in the air or going underground. Podcasts on Spotify, streaming right now, so go check them out.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Redraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. I'm your captain today. Oh, Captain, my captain.
Captain, my captain.
Thank you.
Oh, I got you.
Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright. Our normal host, Andy Holloway.
Also known as Dad.
Yes, he's also been called that. He is packing up the boxes. He's moving he's moving uptown, is what they say.
Uptown Funk.
Uptown, he's going to Uptown Funk you up.
Oh, and this is going to be a great.
It's going to be fantastic. The last day of the full week from the Fantasy Footballers. It's December 29th, but you know what day it is?
It's Friday. Yes. We can do whatever we want today. This is the going away party for 2017, and we're going to treat it as such.
Yes, with delicacy and respect.
Oh, so much respect.
Speaking of, we're joined by our big cardboard bear.
Yeah,
Jay Grizz is in the house.
We are buffoons.
Like I said, this is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Welcome in. Today we will have the ever-popular Footclan Friday. News and notes, in and out. The list is quite large.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you're ready for this list, Jay.
I'm not ready for the list, but I'm fully ready for the show. I just don't want your stupid lists.
Oh.
I want to get into the meat. Also, we glossed right over.
Someone likes me on this show.
Yeah, someone does like me. It's Jay Grizz. I was going to say we glossed right over letting the Footclan know about the best Twitter follow on Twitter.
Oh.
Is Jay Grizz.
At Jay Grizz FFL. I'll give out all the Twitters right now. The show, the big account, you can get updates of what's happening with us. That's at the FF Ballers. You can follow me personally at FF Hitman. Jason is at Jason FFL. You can find our rankings, which are up at thefantasyfootballers.com. And you can join our fantasy football community. It's jointhefoot.com. Help support the show. You get extra stuff, like an extra show every week. Even sometimes once a month, a live stream, which took place yesterday.
That was such a delightful time hanging out with some of the Footclan, chatting. It was fun because at this time of year especially, I mean, I think we talked more movies than anything.
We did.
We got the fantasy football questions from some, but people just wanted to have fun and hang out. That was a good time.
And part of joining the Foot every Friday.
Footclan Friday.
Now, last week on Friday, the show was so jam-packed with goodness that we did not do Footclan Friday, so we are making right. We got two-time.
We're not going to just skip.
No. So the $40 gift card. Lost myself. $40 gift card to shopballers.com this week goes to Jake Russell and Paulie B.
Wow. Incredible names. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for supporting the show. The quick question of the day. We're going to have two.
Oh, wow.
I was told to decide between both of them, or pick one, and I picked them both.
You do what you want.
So number one, your personal best waiver wire pickup from the 2017 season. There's a lot of good guys from the waiver, as always, but the one that you personally were able to pick up, enjoy for a fleeting moment of time, maybe they made your roster more sturdy, Who knows?
Two come to mind, and they were both in this last championship week. One was Mike Gillislee, who I was able to pick up and play with.
You had the heart of stone.
I had the heart of stone, put him in the lineup, got the touchdown, did well, got the championship. Sorry out there, Brian. The other on the same roster, and really this is the reason I won. Once we got down into that, it was a day before the championship game. I'm looking at my roster. Look, my roster looked like I needed.
Oh, it looked bad.
Yeah, I needed some Christmas magic because I was the underdog.
You really needed luck.
Yeah, so I went and I did exactly that. I picked up Andrew Luck, put him on my bench, and look, I mean, my opponent collapsed. Coincidence?
I think not.
No.
My favorite pickups of the year, one was Robbie Anderson. I picked him up right at the tip of the hot streak, and he was fantastic for my lineup. My second favorite pickup was Samaje Perine, the Pain Bot himself, because I'm not sure if you recall, Jason, what happened, but we were playing head-to-head in the League of Record, and I needed some running back help. I was able to scoop up Samaje Perine, and I have Kirk Cousins. This was the week that Samaje Perine caught a touchdown. I double-dipped, and I beat you by 2 points.
Yeah, that was
because of Samaje Perine.
Congratulations.
So that always feels really good when you can have an instant impact. Second question, New Year's resolution. You got to have them. This is not sports related. I got to hear your New Year's resolution. What are you going to improve?
Oh man,
there's not much. To be fair, Jason Moore as an entity, not much you can do to improve it.
Oh, you're too sweet. Here's the deal. I'm never going to resolve to improve my grammar or my speech or my
good. Perfect.
Yeah, I am who I am.
Brooks is cackling,
but
in the background.
We want the show to stay successful, too. So.
Right. This is a special part of the sauce here. I'm going to, for the first time ever, resolve to lose weight.
The year of health again?
I've certainly never thought about doing that before and failed. But this time I'm going to do it the only time I've ever done it.
Hey, good for you.
What about you, Mike? What's your New Year's resolution?
Well, I'm sticking with I've jumped back on the year of health as well. And
we were joking yesterday that maybe one of these times we need a year of weight gain. Like instead of we can't just always have the year of health.
You don't want to be disappointed.
No. So if you had a year of weight gain and you resolved to gain, what could you put on?
Oh, if
you resolved,
if I was doing the fast food movie guy,
your goal is to come in 2019 looking like Jay Grizz
in a year.
Yeah, 1 year. I could easily put on 50.
I think I said 50 to 70. I think I could do it.
Yeah, I would go for triple digits.
This is a healthy conversation. All right, let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Week 17 just keeps getting better and better, everyone.
No sarcasm there.
The Steelers are expected to hold Big Ben and Le'Veon Bell out of Sunday's finale.
This is fine. I mean, look, I know we rant. All week we've been ranting against Week 17ers, but if you're out there and still thinking that Week 17 is the right way to play fantasy football in redraft, keeper dynasty leagues, then you're not listening. You're not paying attention, and you're not opening your mind and your eyes to reality. We've got guys getting to their championship game and dropping Todd Gurley. They're literally
and now Lev Bell.
I've got to drop Todd Gurley, or I'm going to drop Lev Bell because it's championship week. It's dumb.
Rams coach Sean McVay said top receivers Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Samuel Watkins would see little Week 17 playing time.
Yeah.
How do you take that as in?
I take that as in they will, for all intents and purposes, not play the game. They might play a drive. They cannot be started in fantasy at all.
DeAndre Hopkins,
which I will say this is very upsetting for my superstar love affair of Sean Mannion behind the scenes. Now he has no weapons to throw. That first drive is going to be incredible. After that, it's not on him.
So we need to dive deep here.
Okay.
Sean Mannion is #bad.
Yeah.
Why? Explain to the people why you love Sean Mannion so much.
So the Sean Mannion love came from one moment in time watching Hard Knocks when they were showing Jared Goff and Sean Mannion last year, and they made a bet as to who could hit the field goal.
Hit the uprights,
throwing the pass. It was 40 yards away. Who could hit the uprights? Sean Mannion hit it, proving that he was the clear better quarterback than Jared Goff. This is where the entirety of it comes from. When you're going as deep as Sean Mannion, there's really nothing outside of hitting a field goal that you can draw upon.
That's fair enough. DeAndre Hopkins dealing with a calf injury. He is now a game-time decision. He was also listed as doubtful, now questionable. So I guess there's a chance he plays?
Trending in the right direction, but I don't think you can play him. I mean, if you're the Houston...
They're playing for nothing.
They're playing for not worst in the division, right? I believe whoever loses this game will get last place, but who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the Texans, it benefits you to lose, be honest.
I completely agree.
So I don't think Hopkins suits up. And if he does suit up, I don't think you can rely on him.
Giants interim coach Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, that's not how you say that. But
I don't know why it came out.
Spagnuolo.
More like Spagiolo. Am I right?
SpaghettiOs.
No, Spagiolo. He says that Eli Manning will take every snap in Week 17. The Davis Webb hype train has been halted before it could even take off. The Giants hired ex-Panthers GM Dave Gettleman as general manager.
Which I do think that is a great hire.
You do?
I do. I think Gettleman was a very good general manager for the Carolina Panthers. He built a good roster. They did it through the draft. He had a system, a process. I think his talent evaluation is very good. Now, he's got to do a couple things that he didn't really have to do in Carolina, namely find the right head coach, as well as get a quarterback. I mean, it's easy to get a quarterback when you've got the number one pick.
What about Steve Spagnuolo? Just laughing at the name.
Yeah, so
how terribly I butchered it.
I think moving forward, it's a good hire for the Giants.
Hey, Jay Grizz.
Oh,
Matt Forte plans to return for an 11th season.
You know he's no longer on the Bears.
It doesn't matter. When someone's a great from your team,
all right,
you still celebrate that
so
player.
So you're saying that Jay Grizz still likes Matt Forte?
Of course
he's
does.
Not like burned by Forte. How dare you leave?
They cut him.
Yeah, I was going to say it wasn't really Forte's doing.
Look, I do not understand the fandom sometimes. I'm a diehard Cardinal fan. But here's the deal. When the team makes a decision to cut a player and then that player finds a different job, that's not on them.
Right.
Why do you hate them all of a sudden?
You should have retired.
You got to support your team. I get it, but why? Why do you hate these people for taking a different job?
Well, Jay Grizz doesn't. He's above that.
Because he's a great bear.
He's a great cardboard bear.
All right, we're going to move to the In-N-Out.
What's it going to be, McFly? Are you in or out?
Like I said, the list is large.
Super long.
So we will try and breeze through it. Cam Newton.
Yeah, he'll play limited on Thursday.
Tom Brady.
Same limited. He'll play.
Melvin Gordon.
He did return to a limited practice. It was first reported he did not practice Thursday. Then it said limited. I mean, he still says he's going to play, but I truly think he's going to be a game-time decision.
You better have Brandon Oliver on your bench.
If you have Gordon, you have to have Oliver.
DeMarco Murray.
Not practicing, wants to play. I don't think he's going to play.
Gio Bernard and Joe Mixon. We got a double trouble from Cincinnati.
They're both limited. They're both hurt, both with ankles. They'll both play.
All right, Rex Burkhead.
Well, you could throw him with Mike Gillislee together. Neither one of them practiced Thursday.
James White, who missed last week.
Yeah, I think Burkhead and Gillislee will not play. White, has a better chance of playing. All this means is light up your Dion Lewis.
Yes. Dion Lewis will be a sensational play yet again. Aaron Jones
Has been ruled out.
That makes it easy. Duke Johnson and Isaiah Crowell. What's
Both,
with these teammates here?
yeah, the teammates, they're punching each other and fighting and rolling up on each other's ankles. But most of them, I think, are going to combo in. Duke Johnson, Isaiah Crowell, I expect both to be out there.
Your favorite player in the NFL, Damian Williams.
He stinks. He's going to be out, whether he's playing or not.
Jay Grizz, is Matt Forte going to play? All right. Kerwin Williams and Elijah Penny.
I love it. Yeah, again, teammates hurt who stink, and they will both play.
Rod Smith.
Didn't practice Thursday. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I mean, is anybody playing Rod Smith?
This one matters, I think. Sharkandrick West.
Did not practice Thursday, but it's just an illness, so I expect that he'll be able to suit up.
And Char West could be a sneaky play if they want to get Kareem Hunt a little bit rested up for the playoffs.
I'm not playing Sharkandrick West.
All right.
I think that there's better – like if you're in the Sharkandrick West tier, I would
think
rather
it's-
go with like a Malcolm Brown or even a Stephen Ridley. I mean, we'll talk about is
Right.
it Fitzgerald Toussaint or Stephen Ridley, but I would rather go with one of
That's
those.
fine. I think Char West is interesting for DFS
Yeah,
for your GPP tournaments. Wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins. We already said he's a game-time decision. Julio Jones was limited.
He always is. He'll play.
Michael Thomas.
He's actually dealing with some problems. He was more limited last week. He'll play again this week, but I think you got to lower your expectations.
Season low in snap rate, routes run, and targets last week.
That's exactly what I'm talking
That's a
about.
problem. Dez Bryant.
Did not practice Thursday. I haven't heard any reports saying that he'll miss, so I expect him to play.
The Cowboys have said they may rest some players.
He'd be a good candidate. I mean,
if he's banged up.
That's one to watch for sure.
Deshaun Jackson.
Return to limited practice, so I'll say he gets in this week.
And his teammate,
And
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, Chris Godwin missed, so
That's unfortunate. Chris Godwin balled out last week.
he had one play.
He had, what do you have, like 90
It was a great
yards?
play.
Yeah. I don't know. Chris Godwin will be very exciting for me next year.
Yeah.
Do you think Djax is still on the team next year?
I do think Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, he got a big contract this year. I'm sure there's a lot of money.
I don't blame Deshaun Jackson for
No,
the
but
down season. But
I'm saying I think they're on the hook for a lot of it still.
all right, Robbie Anderson, Jermaine Kearse.
Robbie Anderson, like a lot of players dealing with an illness, I'm glad to see that the illness is not like it also goes to the superhumans. It's not just like I've been dealing with it. My family's been dealing with it, but also these incredible superhero athletes, they still get sick too. You know, they're people.
Yes.
But you could play through that.
Marquise Greatwin.
Oh, great one.
think
He's going to play.
He'll play.
He is, I believe, 66 yards away from 1,000.
Oh, then he's playing.
Yeah, he's in.
They'll get him that. Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson ruled out. Geronimo Allison, he also has an illness. It's the time everyone's getting the sniffles.
'Tis the season.
It's the winter. Marquise Lee, doubtful. Keelan Cole, limited. Pay attention for him.
He's the one, like, of the whole list, I'm most interested out of everybody, Keelan Cole, because I think they should rest him.
Right.
They're in the playoffs. They're locked in. And
Yeah, they
he
have
has
nothing
been
to gain.
Integral. They have nothing to gain, but for some reason, I think he's going to play.
And also, the Cooper Kupp did not practice, so I don't know. I don't expect him to see.
No. He. I mean, if the Rams are already saying they're going to have limited reps, why give him any?
We're going to move over to the tight ends. Rob Gronkowski did not practice with an illness. I would still expect him to play. Antonio Gates, man, everyone's sick.
Everyone. The illness, they're going around. It's team agnostic. Everyone is willing to be sick.
Well, let's say Evan Engram, though. Evan Engram did not practice with those ribs. Do you think he's going to miss?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play. He was taken out of the game with the injury, and we've seen rib injuries usually this season, especially people have missed at least one game, so I think Evan Engram does not suit up.
I don't think he does as well. Before we move into the fantasy forecast, want to thank today's sponsor, Fantasy Champs.
Yes.
Hey,
It's Friday. It's payday.
Is-
Go get that trophy.
Yes, it's payday today, and then it's championship day on Sunday. When you take home that championship, there's nothing better than celebrating it. Heading over to fantasychamps.com, get that personally engraved ring case, and they've couple different options of rings, which are spectacular. Maybe you want the belts.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple pictures of people tweeting at champs with their belts on, just looking they're looking fly, dare I say.
Yeah, and
it's lit.
I gotta give them a shout out for their packaging.
Yes.
As silly, it's you get that in the mail and it's like, oh, this is
it's serious business.
This is some first class stuff here. Also, I know we're talking about week 17, but it doesn't dawn on me that there are still people waiting to find out if they win the championship. I'm like, why haven't you already gone to Fantasy Champs? You've known for days that you're a champ. Go get your trophy, go get your ring, but it's like, oh yeah, you might not know yet.
All right, so you can head over to fantasychamps.com. You can use the promo code BALLERS, and you're going to save a little bit of quiche. Everyone likes to save.
Mm-hmm.
Use that code BALLERS.
Better than spending more.
Fantasy Forecast.
This is a big-time game. We have the Panthers. The 11-4 Panthers are going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, who are 9-6. It looks like the Falcons are 3.5-point underdogs at home. A 45-point over-under, so, right in the middle of that scoring range. But this is big time. The Falcons are playing for their playoff life, and
they win, they're in.
And the Panthers are playing for, one, you can knock your divisional opponent out of the playoffs. Two, there is a wacky way where they can actually end up as the 2 seed because they have the tiebreaker with Minnesota.
Yeah, which would give them a bye. So this is a game where both teams are going to be playing all out, plenty on the line, and a lot of fantasy assets in this game that are worth firing up. And if you listen to yesterday's show where we covered half of the weekly matchups, I feel like 75% of them were full of games where it's
nothing.
Can't trust the players, can't trust the motivation. Yuck.
Absolutely. So on the Panthers side of the ball, Cam Newton, does he bounce back after last week's Pooh Fest?
Yeah, I think Cam Newton does bounce back. The Falcons have not been staunch against quarterbacks. The way that Cam has been running the ball this year, I was surprised to see he's almost doubled his yardage.
He was also knocked out of the
before.
game for a little bit.
Right, he did miss some. So I think Cam has an absolutely fine game against Carolina. I'd be happy to play him in Week 17.
What about the up-and-down Christian McCaffrey, who 2 weeks ago was sensational, about 130 yards from scrimmage with a touchdown, but last week, 39 yards on the ground, only 2 receptions for 19 yards.
Yeah, I do think he bounces back as well. The Falcons, their defense has been really middle of the pack on the season. I think that they can be beaten in the screen game. So Christian McCaffrey, he lines up well for what the Falcons have a hard time with.
Because the Falcons, these defenses are interesting because they match up almost identically here, where they both struggle against fantasy quarterbacks and wide receivers the past 6 weeks, yet they're pretty stout against running backs and tight ends.
Yeah.
Does that affect any of your decision-making here, or is it still Freeman is in? What about Tevin Coleman?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would rather play Tevin Coleman in a Week 17 matchup that matters over so many players that are a giant question mark. I wouldn't play Tevin Coleman over a Jamal Williams, but if you're dealing with a lot of the more questionable guys, they might play a half. Then no, I'm gonna go Tevin Coleman, who always has the touchdown upside. And I'll throw this out. Speaking of the same backfield, Devonta Freeman, who has been a major disappointment over the last couple weeks to people. If you're still in it with Freeman, I think he has a bounce back game in a tough matchup because he's so much better at home. People don't realize Freeman's home road splits are pretty significant, and I'm always a fan of Freeman at home.
Julio Jones averaging over 81 yards per game since Week 13. That's only 8th best for Julio Jones, which is interesting, but he's an auto start. Mohamed Sanu, are you taking the secondary option for the Falcons this week?
Yeah, I mean,
Panthers 32nd against fantasy wide receivers the past 6 weeks, giving up over 40 points a game.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a team where, despite my kind words spoken to Devonta Freeman. That's more about Devonta Freeman than it is about the Panthers. Panthers have been good against the run, but they've been poor against wide receivers, and Mohamed Sanu has been the clear cut. Like, coming into the year, I think most people were higher on Taylor Gabriel than Mohamed Sanu. The big play, what he did, in 2016. But Mohamed Sanu has carved out I feel like when you get in the red zone or third downs, it's like half Julio, half Mohamed Sanu. So I trust him. I would be willing to play him.
And a quick correction to something what I had put in there. The Falcons are favored at home.
Oh,
instead of underdogs.
Good to know.
That makes
good. That makes a lot more sense.
I was surprised.
I was too. Thanks for nothing, Brooks.
Oh man, you know what, Brooks? Thanks for correcting it.
Yes, that takes a man.
I couldn't leave you out there, Mike.
takes a big man.
All right, another good game here where there's something to play for. Oh, you got more and more.
Greg Olsen, Devin Funchess.
Where
do you stand on that?
Yes, that's a good discussion. I lean Greg Olsen. Devin Funchess he concerns me. He concerns me with can Cam Newton sustain Christian McCaffrey and Greg Olsen and Devin Funchess. I mean, I feel like someone's going to be left out. It's a party, and there's only two pieces of pie.
Oh, I'm getting both. Just to let you know, if you have a party and you only have two pieces of pie,
it's very possible.
Get zero.
I mean, Greg Olsen is a mountain man. He might take both pies.
Not if I'm there.
Fair enough. Bengals, Ravens. Very disappointing season for the Cincinnati Bengals. They get to take on their divisional opponent on the road. The Ravens are favored by 9.5 points. The Ravens would clinch the 5th seed with a win. So this is a big-time game for Baltimore.
Yes, super important game, a must-win game. But it also means that Cincinnati's really going to get up for this game.
Will they?
Yes, they will. I truly believe Cincinnati is going to.
Can they?
there you go. I do believe they can. I know that there's a 9.5 point spread here, so Vegas thinks Baltimore is going to handle their business, handle it well, rather easily, and it is in Baltimore. But Cincinnati, last week of the season, they've had some ups and downs, and lately, I mean, they just went in and spoiled the party for the Lions, and nobody thought they were going to do that. If they could go back-to-back, finish the season spoiling things for a division
that would
rival,
feel pretty good.
Yeah, so I think this is more of a trap game. I would say this would be
It's a trap.
yes. Andy's not here to pick his almost upset of the week, but I'm here to pick it for him.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
I don't know where the drop is. Oh.
yes.
Jason's
Andy's almost upset of the week.
Look, the running game for Baltimore.
This is a hard as stone call by you.
Yeah, I mean, it's who wants to bank on the Bengals?
Not me.
Not me either, but I'm still going to do it. The Baltimore Ravens have over the last third of the season, they found their running game, and Alex Collins was a revelation, and it helped their defense get to take it up even another level. But Alex Collins
been very disappointing the past few weeks.
He's gotten the carries.
Yeah, volume is there.
But the yards per carry, which he was leading the league in as of several weeks back. I mean, last week, 18 carries, only 51 yards. The week prior, 12 carries, only 19 yards.
That's not getting it done.
If he can't get it done and he's getting the volume and the Bengals are able to shut him down, then that's where I see an almost upset coming here. Now, all of that said, the Bengals have not been great against the run. Nay, they've been terrible. And Alex Collins is a volume back at home favored by Vegas. So those things always point me towards Alex Collins. He's a great play. If you're projecting probabilities, you say he's going to have a good game. But that's just where it's like I've got a worry of a trap, but he's going to be high in my rankings. He is. It's
a trap.
Yes. And I would recommend people starting him. Just be cautious.
How can you be cautious? You mean you play him or you don't play him, Jason? Stop hedging. Make a decision. You playing Collins?
I'm playing Collins.
Okay.
Yes.
Now the Bengals are also susceptible to fantasy tight ends. They're ranked 23 against the position in the past 6 weeks. Benjamin Watson as a streamer?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, he's got 9 receptions in his last 2 games, including a touchdown. I think Benjamin Watson is a fine streamer here. I really do.
Over on the Cincinnati offense, Joe Mixon, Gio Bernard. This is how you have to attack the Ravens defense. The last 6 weeks, they are 23rd against fantasy running backs, giving up over 23 points a game. We will have to wait and see who's healthy enough to play. If Mixon is active, if both are active, I should say, then I would play Joe Mixon. I know that burned people last week, but an injury popped up, and you saw the production Gio had of what could have been.
Right,
if Joe Mixon was in.
It was also a new injury. It wasn't the injury that had kept Joe Mixon out. Really, this is, I mean, you just said it, but this is a monitor the next few days because that injury took Joe Mixon out of the game, and it's still what he's dealing with. So the idea that maybe he doesn't make it back is a real one. He might not suit up. So you need to have both these guys on your roster. If Gio is the better play, I'd rather play Gio without Mixon than Mixon if he's in. Does that make sense?
I think I followed you.
Sweet.
All right, AJ Green, he's been okay lately, but you still start your stud in championship week with a team that has not much to play for.
Yeah, people were worried about the Darius Slay matchup last week. He had 6 for 81. You can't worry about matchups with AJ Green.
Joe Flacco has thrown 7 touchdowns, just 1 interception since week 13. Is Joe Flacco on your streaming radar?
Not so much this week. I think
right.
last week
he's at home.
Yes, he's at home, which is good for streamers. I think you could do better.
Fair enough.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, so handsome.
Jimmy GQ.
Bills.
It's a handsome streamer.
Oh, it's the handsomest. Yeah. To be fair. Bills traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins, where the Bills are favored by 2.5 points. The Bills are also playing for their playoff lives. They need some help because they can't just win and they have to win, and some other teams have to lose, including the Ravens. If the Ravens were to lose and Buffalo wins, they are in. Do I have that correct?
I believe so.
All right, good. On the Buffalo side of the ball, Tyrod Taylor up against the Miami defense. Would you rather stream Tyrod or Joe Flacco?
Well, considering that Tyrod Taylor is my stream of the week, and I just said I would rather not stream Joe Flacco.
I'm just putting it out there in black and white for the
Flacco.
people. I don't want any doubt.
No, I think Tyrod is a good streamer, in part because his number one best weapon when he has good games has not been a wide receiver. It's been Charles Clay. And the Miami Dolphins are terrible against – I would put them in that bottom 5 of teams that are really bad against tight end. On the entire season, they're 28th. 31st against the position. So I love Charles Clay in this matchup. I like Tyrod Taylor. The one question mark for me on the Bills side of the ball is Kelvin Benjamin, who has been completely and utterly untrustworthy. And then last week looked pretty darn good. 5 for 70, and that's including the touchdown, or that's excluding the touchdown that a lot of people feel like he scored and was taken away from him in New England. So would you start Kelvin Benjamin this week?
Oh, man. I would find it very difficult to start him. And on top of the fact that the Miami defense, second against fantasy wide receivers in the past 6 weeks, I think that makes the decision easier for me to say I don't want to mess with that.
Right.
Shady McCoy, monster season yet again. He's averaging over 92 rushing yards per game since week 13. That's third best. You play him.
Coming into the season, I remember there were 2 guys constantly being compared against each other, right next to each other in drafts, about the same age, about the same volume of career carry counts, which – do you remember the 2 guys?
Are you talking –
LaShawn McCoy
Shady and DeMarco?
And DeMarco Murray.
One of those was the right choice.
Won. Yes.
I was going to say the real question for Shady is just this is projecting for the future. He's going to be 30 years old. He does not appear to have lost anything. in his game. Shady McCoy, 30 years old. Jason, way too early prediction. Are you in on Shady McCoy next year?
I was thinking about this week based on the DeMarco Murray Shady stuff, and I think I'm going to be in next year.
He does have Wolverine healing powers.
Yeah, because he gets injured every game, and then he's like, I'm back. I just needed about 10 minutes for my body to heal.
All right, on the Miami side, smoking Jay Cutler, no thank you against this Buffalo defense. Kenyon Drake.
Oh, fire up Kenyon Drake. I mean, this is one of those defenses where the running game, ever since they made the trade with Jacksonville to make Jacksonville a good running defense and Buffalo a bad running defense, you look at points given up by position, and you go, man, Buffalo's really good against quarterbacks and wide receivers. No, they're not good.
Because you don't have to.
It's because you don't need them. They're so bad against running backs that teams don't need to throw touchdowns. They just rush touchdowns. I think Kenyon Drake is it's Andy's start of the week. He's a great play, and he's, I'll take Jarvis Landry because he's been unbelievably consistent. And Kenyon Drake, and that's it. Is there anybody else that you would even toy with?
Parker Stills, no, I would not. And there's
Jakeem Grant?
Maybe.
I mean, Jakeem Grant, he's got 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, is a deep player. But then again, in the last 3 weeks, you're talking about, 7 total receptions. You can't trust that.
He's just giving you big plays. And there's a storyline here that says this is likely the last game for Jay Cuddy on the Dolphins before he signs with Arizona in the offseason. This is coming from From the Judge. I think the Judge is trolling us.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, this is not a real report, right?
Please, no.
I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I wanted
I would have taken him.
Jay Cutler for the Cardinals, and I'm glad my desires did not come true.
He does not care.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, just to highlight, Jarvis Landry, 7 receptions a game since week 13.
He has been.
He's balling out. Do you think Jarvis is a Miami Dolphin next year?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think they re-sign him?
Yeah, maybe a franchise.
Saints, Buccaneers. This it's in Tampa Bay. The Saints are favored by 7 points, but 50.5-point over/under. And Jameis Winston,
been playing some good ball.
He's been playing very well. Just the fumbles.
Stop fumbling the ball, Jameis.
Yeah, the fumbles are killers for his actual fantasy production. But aside from that, throwing the ball, his completion percentage, 72% since week 13, third best. He's looked sharp. He's able to hit into tight windows once again. So Jameis Winston. Let's just start with him. Do you start him with any confidence this week against the Saints? Super Bowl bound New Orleans Saints.
I think I do. Jameis has been very good. If not,
that sounded more like the intro to Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
than the Saints.
Give me a. There you go. Oh, you just.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I think you can start Jameis. Now, the New Orleans Saints defense has been very good over the course of the season, so I don't think you can expect things like years past where you just fire them up because there's a large Vegas line.
We'll say, with Marshawn Lattimore in and out of the lineup, on the season the Saints are 17th against fantasy wide receivers, but the past 6 weeks, that dropped down to 30th.
Yeah, and with the way Jameis has been playing, with the game in Tampa, I am willing to start Jameis in a championship matchup here. I think he'll, be a low-end quarterback 1 this week.
All right, Mike Evans needs 54 yards to surpass 1,000 yards for the 4th season in a row. So he would have 1,000 yards plus every year.
Yeah, of his career. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for as much as we feel like Evans has been a disappointment.
Well, I mean, you didn't draft him to get 1,000 yards. You drafted him to get 1,500.
Well, you drafted him to get 10 touchdowns as well.
Right.
So fair enough. But so you like Jameis. Any interest in Deshaun Jackson or Chris Godwin, whoever is starting?
Not really, other than a glory play. If you're needing a lot of points, for instance, I think Deshaun Jackson, if he's in there, you can always throw him out there. We've seen I can't count how many plays where he's been behind the defense, he's been open, and Jameis has missed him by a yard or two. It wouldn't surprise me if the last game of the season they finally get the connection, because it seems like every year going into the next year, Tampa Bay is like, ooh, I think they're getting it together. So it would make sense that this game, now that they've got nothing to play for, they'll be like, ooh, maybe they're getting it together.
Meanwhile, Cameron Brate seems like he's been late for a very important date since his 2-touchdown game.
Yeah.
Unusable.
Unusable. And the Saints have been really lock solid against tight ends. On the season, they're the second best as far as not giving up fantasy points to tight ends. Over the last 6 weeks, they're the 5th best. I don't think you would start Cameron Brate.
Now, the Saints need the win to clinch the division. Do you think that's important enough that Mark Ingram and Alvin Super Camario, the game genie himself, will play a full set of snaps?
I think the only thing that stops them from playing a full set of snaps is more of a fourth quarter game is in hand. If it looks like they've got the game in hand, then I would rest them if I was Sean Payton, but they do need this win. And I honestly believe that in 3 quarters, Super Camario and Mark Ingram can finish as the number 1 and number 2 tight end running back on the week.
They're so good.
They're so good they'll finish as the number 1 tight end. They'll quarterback, you name it. I really like both players this week. Tampa Bay has not been doing anything good on defense, so I would have no problem playing either one.
We talked
Starting
about Michael Thomas dealing with an injury. If he plays, you play him?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
You play him. And I will definitely play Ted Ginn as well. You talk about Ted Ginn or Deshaun Jackson.
You'd rather go Ginn?
I'd much rather go Ginn. We saw recently, he was actually playing great for a stretch until he got injured. And then he came back last week and once again got behind the defense, looks good. And this is a matchup with Tampa Bay that gives up those big plays. I think Ted Ginn is a phenomenal play. If I would have a hard time deciding between Robbie Anderson and Ted Ginn.
Interesting.
That's the level of belief I have in Ted Ginn.
Very interesting.
So if you're in one of those matchups where you're like, I lost DeAndre Hopkins, I have no wide receiver to play, I need to find someone on waivers, I think Ginn would be the guy I'd be looking for.
Jacksonville takes on the Tennessee Titans on the road. The Titans are favored by 3 points. Believe the wise guys are sifting through the Marone malarkey. I'm going to go more.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Marone malarkey. There was a word for someone who says things that are lies. That is
Malarkey.
Yeah, but there was an inappropriate one.
Oh, wow.
And that was the only word circulating through my head.
Sure.
But because Doug Marone says his Jacksonville Jaguars will not rest their starters. He wants positive momentum.
Sure.
What do you think about that?
I say that's a great point. Wink, wink. I think, play all your starters the whole game. Wink.
Okay, so you're not buying it.
I'm not buying it. I do think they're going to come out. They're going to play, 100% of the first half, and going into the second half, in either direction. Leonard Fournette has dealt with injury all year and is extremely important. You've played well without Leonard Fournette. Your running game has been great without him.
Leonard
but when
Fournette,
you
though, needs 29 yards to hit 1,000.
Well, that's fine. I'm not saying they're going to bench Leonard Fournette by any means, as far as they're going to not play the game. But I think he's not going to play a full set of snaps. If Leonard Fournette comes out and gets 26 carries, I'll be blown away. I think you're looking at a game where he's going to come out, get 14 carries, maybe not play much in the I look at TJ Yeldon as a sneaky type of play. I mean, just look last week, Tennessee could not cover the screen game. TJ Yeldon is pretty good at, he's no Todd Gurley, but he's good in the screen game.
The Tennessee Titans, actually, before the game, they thought it was illegal to throw to the running back.
Yeah, so why is he doing that?
We don't need to cover that because that's an illegal move.
Right. Also illegal to then tackle a guy when he has the ball. They're like, we can't touch him. He's got the ball.
Do you think he's just running? Todd Gurley's running through down the field screaming, "I've got cooties"?
Todd Gurley was so good that this is week 17, okay? The entire season had been played for all intents and purposes before last week, and the number 2 ranked defense on the year against running backs going into last week became the number 11th ranked. They went from being like a top-tier defense against running backs to a middle of the pack based on 1/16 of the season.
That's bad. Now, speaking of guys who are not bad, Blake the Snake Bortles is tied for the quarterback.
Snake, huh?
Blake, yeah.
Is this?
I got a snake, man.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Blake the Snake.
Blake the Snake.
He is tied for the quarterback 1 over weeks 14 through 16. That is so clutch.
He's not the hero we need. He's the one we deserve. I mean, I got a snake, man.
Oh, it didn't go.
Oh, you're letting
I'm
everybody.
so sorry. I'll fix it. You keep talking
All
about
right.
how great Blake Bortles is.
About Blake the Snake?
Yes.
I got a snake, man.
You're going to be happy with the snake. So
Real? I don't know if I'm playing him.
it is much more questionable this week because when I give the wink, I have a hard time trusting 4 quarters from Blake Bortles, despite what Malarkey is saying. This is why we hate predicting Week 17, because we have enough history of coaches can say one thing,
Coach
and
speak,
then
man. It's
come
tough.
out in Week 17 and do the opposite. I believe that the Flames are hot enough, and if I were the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'd be much more concerned with resting Leonard Fournette than Blake Bortles.
But Blake Bortles, Marquise Lee, I expect him to be out. Keelan Cole, I think they should sit him. I think he will be out. So, I mean, is D.D. Westbrook enough? Maybe the return of Allen Hurns? I don't know that I'm thrilled to play Blake Bortles. Blake the Snake Bortles in this matchup.
I would be willing to throw Blake Bortles in.
Blake or Tyrod Taylor, your stream of the week?
I would rather play Blake Bortles than Tyrod. But I would probably put Jameis ahead of.
Looking for that garbage.
So I would kind of go Jameis, Blake Bortles, Tyrod. All 3 I'm willing to start.
All right. As much as I want to play the snake drop again, we got to move on to the Chiefs and the Broncos. The Chiefs I apologize. The Broncos are favored at home. The 5-10 Broncos are favored against the AFC West champion because they are locked in. They have nothing to gain. Kansas City is one of those teams where you're expecting to see starters rested, such as Alex Smith, who is out.
They are only
Pat Mahomes.
The Denver Broncos are only favored by a little more than a field goal against Pat Mahomes, probably no Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill or small doses of Kareem Hunt. I mean, you're going to be getting backups, and you had this defense coming into this year that was supposed to be great, and you're favored by 3 points at home?
It's unfortunate.
What happened to the Broncos?
Yeah, it's called quarterback play.
Yeah.
Your entire ship can go down if your quarterback is bad.
Yeah. So what do you do here? Patrick Mahomes making his first start. Really excited to see him. I just wish he had the weapons to throw to. He's going to be dealing with Albert Wilson and probably a couple
Demetrius Harris, man. That guy can – he's interesting.
That is actually an interesting name. Demetrius Harris, if Kelce is out, they're still going to utilize the position. Denver is not good against tight ends. I mean, that's more of a glory play. That's a I want to get a plaque that says I played Demetrius Harris against you and won.
Hey, there's people with that Blake Bortles plaque. Just throw a Harris plaque in there as well.
I felt plenty confident. I mean, we all knew Blake Bortles or thought Blake Bortles was going to come. I think this one's much more of a it could happen.
C.J. Anderson is averaging over 90 rushing yards a game since Week 13 because they're finally giving him the ball.
Well, in their defense, they didn't know. If you look at the beginning of the year, they gave him the ball a lot.
And it was very successful.
Was great. It was very successful for them. They looked like a great team. And then they weren't sure that would just keep happening, so they stopped. And now they've finally proven it at the end of the year that, we can win games and rush better when we give our better running back the ball.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they didn't know.
I mean, shame on you, Denver. C.J. Anderson's great. Give him the ball. I would play him with full confidence. He's very close to 1,000 yards.
He did deal with some injuries in the middle of the year.
He always does. But 54 yards shy of 1,000. I expect them to put every effort into getting C.J. Anderson that record.
Are you playing Kareem Hunt?
No.
Not touching him.
Nope.
Yeah, I agree. I can't touch Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's funny because of all these players, I feel like Tyreek Hill could just catch one pass on the first drive from Pat Mahomes for 70 yards and a touchdown, but I don't think you could play any of them. Literally.
I'm not playing him, and I'm not playing anyone else from the Broncos.
Yeah.
Because they're going to start Paxton Lynch. That's what they want to do.
You're not starting Demaryius Thomas?
I'm not. That's if you're forced to do it.
I would start Demaryius.
I'm not expecting a
and
big
maybe
game.
even Emmanuel Sanders.
49ers take on the Rams in a very handsome matchup for Jimmy Garoppolo, who is just an absolute stud machine here. Took down the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was quite a game for Jimmy GQ. On his side of the ball, Carlos Hyde, full confidence?
Full confidence in Carlos Hyde? Yeah, I think he's, like you said, I mean, he's playing for a contract. He needs to get it going.
He's also playing against the Los Angeles Rams team who is already – they have gifted us. They said, we don't care if we are the 3 or 4th seed. We are going to rest our starters. We are going to do the right thing for our team.
And that's not just offense. That's defense, too. Aaron Donald
yeah, I expect him to
will
be
not
out.
play. So, I mean, that is good news for Carlos Hyde. Also, Matt Breida. I think you could, squeeze in Breida in a pinch. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I like Marquise Goodwin.
Great win.
Great win. I apologize.
Thank you.
That's where I think I stop on the 49ers. Not going to chase some of the wide receivers that got it done last week.
I was going to say, do you want a George Kittle or Garrett Selleck or neither?
I would definitely lean neither for now. Garrett Selleck has been pretty darn good, and Kittles and Bits has a great nickname.
He does. Well, I mean, Selleck was a goose after coming off of back-to-back games of 60-plus yards and a touchdown in each of them.
Well, I mean, the truth is,
Kittles and Bits was the one with the yards and the touchdown last week.
Yeah, so that just means you can't trust him. Jimmy Garoppolo was taking whatever was available that Jacksonville would let him do. I mean, there was really good quarterback play by Jimmy Garoppolo last week, but he couldn't. You can't just, if you're going up against a team like Jacksonville, you can't just say, this is my guy that I want to target. I'm going to him regardless. You have to actually play.
T.J. Yates disagrees.
Yeah,
he says I throw only to Hopkins.
Yeah, that's true. And if he had the, if he gets to play, well, he did play Jacksonville, right?
I can't recall. I mean, whatever. Just making a joke. On the Rams side of the ball, you're starting nobody.
I think I would start Malcolm Brown.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for correcting that. Malcolm Brown, the only player I would start with any kind of confidence. Sean Mannion at QB, if he needs to hit the upright in the game, how many, like Rock and Jock scoring.
That'd be great.
Is that it's like 10 points?
I think it's only 3, but it's fine. Either way.
That's not how Rock and Jock does things, Jason. You get a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, I would start Malcolm Brown in a pinch. He's probably, that RB2-3 range. I mean, like you said, outside of that, you can't start players for a team that's not starting starters.
Exactly. The Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are heavy favorites, 42.0 over-under. Raiders, been a very disappointing season for them. Derek Carr has regressed, at least this year, getting unstable protection. Are you interested in playing anyone from this Oakland team with nothing to play for? I mean, Marshawn.
I don't think they have nothing to play for here. I mean, the Chargers.
Well, they're playing spoiler.
Yes,
spoiler.
They're playing spoiler in division against the Chargers. I think Oakland's gonna try to get up for this game. I would be willing to play. I would not like to play Derek Carr. He certainly is capable of having the big game, but I think that the Chargers have just been too good against quarterbacks, against wide receivers. Their passing defense has been great, but I would stay in the Marshawn Lynch Flames. He's just been getting the volume, and if there's one hole in that Chargers defense, it is certainly the running back position.
They've been better lately.
They've been better, and that's middle of the pack, which means on the season they're still, bottom third against the running back, and they're in the last 6 weeks they're number 1 against wide receivers, number 2 against quarterback. So that's where I'm saying Marshawn Lynch is really going to be your only option to get it done.
Moving over to the Chargers side of the ball, Phillip Rivers, you play him with full confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I realize that Oakland has statistically gotten a little better.
They have allowed 2 touchdown passes since week 13.
I just don't believe it.
I don't know if I believe that either.
Yeah, I mean the
stats are the stats, but it seems impossible.
But sometimes stats say things that you've got to look a little bit deeper. So, for instance,
they've also allowed 50 rushing touchdowns in that time.
If you look back at the Raiders' last several games, okay, they played Philadelphia this last week, but not Carson Wentz. Philadelphia.
Nick Foles got one.
They played Nick Foles, who got one. The week before against Dallas, that was Dak. I said this that week. That was not Oakland doing some scheming and having this great. That was just Dak airmailing people and playing crappy quarterback play. So I don't think this is the Raiders. And Phillip Rivers, I'm lighting him up. I'm not afraid of the Raiders defense.
So then you like Keenan Allen, I suspect.
Love Keenan Allen.
Melvin Gordon, if he plays, you do play him. If he's out, Brandon Oliver?
Both, yes, correct.
Okay, Brandon Oliver or Malcolm Brown?
That's a really good question. I think if Gordon is gone,
I'm going Brandon Oliver.
I'm going Brandon Oliver as well if Gordon's out.
Old man taking his finale tour before he signs up for AARP. Antonio Gates, who went beast mode last week.
And it's another great matchup. I mean, even
31st against tight ends. Oakland is 31st against fantasy tight ends the past 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and that's even while they've been fake good against quarterbacks. So they're still giving it up to tight ends. Old man Antonio Gates.
I'd play him.
I'd play him over a lot of other options. If you've got a Cameron Brate type, Antonio Gates I would play right behind Charles Clay.
Moving now to the final game of this docket here, the Cardinals, the 7-8 Cardinals will voyage up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks.
Another spoiler attempt.
But it's going to be tough. The Seahawks are favored by 9.5 points. Is this over-under for real? 38.5 point over-under.
Yeah.
Wow.
The note there says.
And they're nearly 10-point favorites.
Yeah. Drew Stanton is to blame for this. It's really tough. Even with the injuries to Seattle secondary, Larry Fitzgerald has been the only weapon of any relevance for the Cardinals, and he doesn't travel as well on the road as he plays at home lately. You still have a Seattle team that's going to be up. I mean, they're giving it.
They're playing to get in.
Everything you got. And So if they can lock down Larry, then what are the other options? Who's going to score? Elijah Penny? I mean, maybe John Brown.
Kerwin Williams
sneaks in, who's still dealing with injury. I mean, that's the issue here. But Arizona Cardinals, their defense has been outstanding. I mean, truly outstanding lately. They are top 10 against every single position over the last 6 weeks.
Top 8 even.
Even better.
Thank you.
So I think that's where Vegas is getting a low-scoring game here. It does scare me. Like when I look at Doug Baldwin, they need to play. They need this game. They need this win. They're at home. It's late in the season. That's Doug Baldwin time, and I'm still scared. I'm like, man, Doug Baldwin, I mean, you're going to start him.
Doug Baldwin or Demaryius Thomas?
I would go Baldwin there.
All right.
Baldwin moves around enough and is in the slot enough where he won't just get Patrick Peterson. He's played the Cardinals enough and hurt the Cardinals. So I'm not excited for Russell Wilson, for Doug Baldwin, but you still have to play these guys. Jimmy Graham is the bigger question. Do
I play Jimmy Graham?
Play Jimmy Graham?
Yes. But it's just
Would you play Jimmy Graham or Antonio Gates?
That's a great question.
Because Antonio Gates seems
safer.
to be more involved. Yeah, he does feel safer. You're hoping for the touchdown with Jimmy Graham right now, which is so weird that that's not how you feel about Antonio Gates. Is this just recency bias? Are we just going off of just 1 week, last week?
No, because here's Jimmy Graham's Jimmy Graham's numbers the last 3 weeks. Last week, 1 reception for 3 yards. He scored. 2 weeks ago, 1 reception for -1 yards.
Oh, that's worse.
The week before that somehow was better because it was 0 for 0. So in the past 3 weeks, he has
2 receptions.
He has a net
for 2 yards.
A net 2 yards.
But he's got a touchdown.
He does. And so that I still play him, but you're right. I think I would feel more confident playing Antonio Gates in my final. Anyone else from the Seahawks, you're going to play Russell Wilson. You're going to play Doug Baldwin. Mike Davis,
I'm not playing Mike.
Smooches.
Smooches, maybe. If I'm in a PPR,
J.D. McKissick.
I would play. Yes, I guess we got to say his name. If we're in a full-point PPR, I would play Smooches. I'm not playing Mike Davis. I'm not buying it anymore.
Good for you because you shouldn't.
There's no rushing touchdowns on the season for Seattle. That's impossible.
How many times does Seattle have to fool us with a running back before we realize that
all of the
that
times.
we are the fools?
Yeah, all of the times.
Rawls, Lacey, Davis, C.J. Procise,
Chris Carson.
I forgot about Carson.
Oh yeah, there's more to come.
So I'm with you. No, I'm not playing Mike Davis. Anything else you think stands out from this match? Because, like you said, spoiler, I just want to set the narrative for people. This could be Larry Fitzgerald's final game of his career. This could be the final game of Bruce Arians' coaching. So if a team is ever going to get up for a matchup, this is the one. They can knock the Seahawks out because the Seahawks have to win and the Falcons have to lose for Seattle to sneak into the playoffs. You call it 9.5 points. You want to almost upset this one?
I do not.
I don't blame you either.
I mean, it's like as a Arizona native, I wish I could, but the Cardinals just don't have the offensive weapons to get it done. Larry Fitzgerald would need to have a monster game, which could happen, in order for that to happen.
Now, I just want a quick temperature check for you on Kerwin Williams. Seahawks defense, they've allowed 157.8 rushing yards per game since week 13.
Yeah, Kerwin, I'm glad you bring him up because he is a legitimate play here. I mean, the defense of the Cardinals has been so good that if you're scheming for Seattle and you look at their weakness against running backs recently and you realize this is not going to be like we're going to outscore them. You're going to need to slow the clock down, make it a low-scoring game. Then Kerwin Williams would need to be involved. So I would be willing to play Kerwin Williams in this game.
We have a couple injury updates that we want to tell you about that we've come to light since the show. DeAndre Hopkins stayed on Friday. He's upset that he'd miss his first game after playing 79 straight games. So it sounds like Hopkins is preparing to miss. Gronk has returned to practice.
All right.
So Gronk will play. Gronk will smash. Every Friday, we jump on Draft, which you can draft along with us, draft.com/ballers, to set up a DFS lineup for the weekend. It's just Jason and I this week. So we're going with quarterbacks. Is that correct?
That's right. It's a quarterback-only draft. So we're both going to take 5 QBs.
And here we go.
And go head-to-head this week.
The Daily Dose, brought to you by Draft.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Head-to-head, only quarterbacks. I have the first pick. Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
It is because Russell Wilson is number 1 in my rankings, but I don't know if I want to take him.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I expect if you don't take him, you have to move him if you don't believe it.
I completely agree with that. That's why this is such an interesting exercise. I do have some time because the clock is not going to start for 10 seconds, but between, let's see, my top 3 quarterbacks on the week as of right now, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, and Phillip Rivers. Who would I prefer to go with? I think it's Phillip Rivers.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to have to make some adjustments to the old rankings because I'm drafting Phillip Rivers, number 1.
Well, that's fine.
That makes it easy for you?
It does make it easy for me because I don't want Russell Wilson. I'm moving Russell Wilson down in my rankings, which would leave my top 3 as very different than yours. And I'm going to take Cam Newton.
I don't blame you on that.
Cam Newton is going to be...
He's 4 on mine.
Yeah, he's number 2. I really like the matchup. I mean, whenever you can rush for yards that score more than passing yards.
I'm going to give you a hot tip, Jason. I think that Big Ben's going to have a really good game.
Well, instead I'm going to go with my start of the week.
Dang it.
Matthew Stafford.
Oh, I could not trick you.
But you've got Drew Brees out there. You said he was high up in your rankings. He is not as high up in my rankings.
Well, then I'm not going to pick him because I know that you're not going to take him. Way to give me that boost of encouragement. I'm going to take Kirk Cousins against the New York Giants. I think he's going to have a fantastic game playing for that money. Oh, and now he's not going to be my number 1 guy, but now I will take Russell Wilson.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm glad to see that I tricked you. Give me that Drew Brees.
Dang it!
Yes, fell right into my trap. So now
You're conniving.
we've got to this really interesting area.
It's a trap.
Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady is still out there, Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to go and swing for the fences that there's going to be a high-scoring back-and-forth affair.
I like it.
If I've got the Drew Brees, I'm going Jameis Winston on the other side.
I'm about to make the most handsome pick of the draft.
Oh!
Jimmy GQ.
What a handsome pick, Mike.
Give me Jimmy Garoppolo against a Rams team that are resting their defenders. So my last pick. For my final pick, who would I like to go with? Still so many excellent names on the board.
I don't know if you saw the news. Eli Manning is expected to play every snap.
Oh, he is?
So I would just recommend you take Eli Manning.
Matt Ryan.
Ah, you go, Matty.
I got to go yin to your yang. I got to get a piece of that action there.
Sure. So now I am really debating between Tom Brady
And Eli Manning.
and Tyrod Taylor.
I didn't go Tom Brady because I don't think he plays a full game.
Yeah, that makes sense. But he is Tom Terrific, so I'm going to take him.
How upset is Tom Brady now that he is the old bus? He's not the handsome one anymore.
Oh, no. No way. This is an ugly old
that's
man.
gotta be-
He's Grandpa Brady. All right, here's our lineups. My lineup is Grandpa Brady with Cam Newton.
Grandpa Brady.
And, Mr. Brady from the Brady Bunch. Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees, and Jameis Winston.
I've got Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Jimmy GQ, and Matt Ryan. Our projections are neck and neck. I'm projected by about 0.6 points.
Congratulations.
Over you. It's going to be a tough matchup. This is it.
Oh, man.
It's hard to say goodbye.
We're not saying goodbye. Listen, FootClan, the next episode coming out on Tuesday will be the announcement of the footy nominations.
Man, if
where
I could
you
find
need to go
the
out.
music.
Oh, man, if you could find that.
Hold on. You keep talking.
I'm going
and
to keep
stall.
talking because we'll stall as long as we need to get the footy music. If we got to play I got a snake drops in the meantime, we'll do it.
I got a snake, man.
I got a snake, man.
You're just distracting me.
The footies, here's how it works. The footies are coming out on Tuesday. On Tuesday, you will hear the award nominations for the footies, and an email blast will go out. So make sure you go to thefantasyfootballers.com and sign up for our email newsletter. We will email you a survey where you can vote on all your choices, and you decide who wins the footy.
Including the prestigious
the most important.
nickname of the year. Woo! There's
Who's
a lot of top contenders.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to have a nickname be
We debated it. We could not figure out
how do you type it?
OOR?
I always went with OI. But
I believe that would be like oi. It's
That's
like
kinda-
you're at a punk rock show. Oi, oi, oi.
all right. Well,
That's the end of the show.
if you want to draft with us, and hey, big news. There's way too early best balls.
Yeah, they already got best ball on draft.
Go to draft.com/ballers. Play some best ball with us.
Good luck this weekend. We'll see you next week, Footclan. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.
I got a snake,